SaaS Metrics, why they matter when it comes to online employee training. Today, most employees spend more time with their coworkers online than they do in person. As a result, it's more important than ever that virtual workplaces be as productive as possible. If you're responsible for your company's virtual employee training, it's also likely you are spending more time thinking about how to make your programs even more effective moving forward. After all, what good is something if it doesn't prove useful in the long run? In order to ensure that your virtual training programs continue to pay dividends throughout your employees' tenure with the company, you should consider implementing metrics to track their effectiveness. This blog post will explain why SaaS metrics matter when it comes to online employee training and list some of the key advantages measuring performance on virtual learning programs. What is virtual employee training? The definition of employee training varies according to the source, but it generally refers to any process designed to increase skills and knowledge among employees. The proliferation of remote work has led to an increase in online employee training. This form of training is used to teach employees the necessary skills and knowledge when they are unable to attend training in person. Although online training is becoming more commonplace, businesses still have to be careful to maintain its quality and effectiveness. Metrics are a great way to ensure that happens. Virtual employee training can cover a range of topics, including onboarding, compliance training, and skill building. The goal of this training is to ensure that all employees are prepared for their roles and are able to do their jobs well. Some employers choose to provide virtual training when they are unable to provide in-person training due to a lack of resources. Others use it to supplement in-person training with online materials. Why are SaaS metrics important when it comes to employee training? As we've already discussed, employee training is critical for the success of any business. The best way to ensure that your company's training is successful, however, is to measure it with SaaS metrics. Measuring your training programs will enable you to identify areas for improvement and make appropriate adjustments to improve the experience of your employees. By measuring your training programs, you can tell if they are having the desired effect on your employees. Additionally, you can also identify areas for improvement and make adjustments to make your programs more effective. This can help you better prepare your employees for success in their roles and ensure that your company remains as successful as possible. SaaS Metrics 101. SaaS Metrics Tip 1. Establish a baseline of previous knowledge. As you begin to develop your SaaS metrics, the first thing you'll want to do is establish a baseline of each employee's previous knowledge. This will help you determine the best way to track their growth and progress over time. For example, you may find that the majority of your employees already have a significant amount of knowledge in a particular area. In that case, you may want to provide additional training in that area rather than reteaching it. You may also want to consider ways to test your employees' knowledge to determine whether they have retained the information. SaaS Metrics Tip 2. Determine which knowledge matters most. Once you've established a baseline for each of your employees' previous knowledge, you'll want to determine which knowledge matters most in your organization. After all, it's important to choose the topics for your training programs carefully, especially when you have limited resources. If your company uses a talent management software, you might also want to consider mapping your training programs to individual job roles. This can help you tailor your programs to specific employees based on their roles and ensure that each employee receives only the information they need. SaaS Metrics Tip 3. Track progression over time. Once you've selected the appropriate metrics, it's time to track your employees' progress over time. You can do this by measuring a variety of metrics, including the following: how long it takes your employees to complete their training programs, the completion rates of your training programs, the percentage of time employees spend on each training program, the percentage of time employees spend on each training activity. You can also use these metrics to identify areas for improvement or find ways in which your training programs could be more effective. For example, if your training programs are too long, you may want to shorten them. Or if they are too short, you may want to extend them. SaaS Metrics Tip 4. Evaluate program effectiveness and make adjustments. Once you've tracked your employees' progress over time, you may be able to detect some trends. For example, you may find that most of your employees are spending too much time on a particular training program. This could indicate that the program is too long and needs to be shortened. By keeping close tabs on your training programs, you can more effectively identify areas for improvement and make adjustments to improve your programs. This can also help you identify employees who may be struggling. If you notice that a certain percentage of your employees are taking too long to complete their training programs, you may want to provide additional support or coaching. SaaS Metrics Tip 5. Track completion rates. One of the easiest metrics to track is completion rates. You can monitor your completion rates on a program-by-program basis to see how effective your training programs are. For example, let's say your onboarding training program has a completion rate of 50%. This means that 50% of your employees have completed the program and have moved on to the next step in their onboarding process. The other 50% have not yet completed the program. In this case, you may want to consider extending the program or providing additional support. Completion rates can be a great way to determine whether your training programs are too long or too short. SaaS Metrics Tip 6. Measure learning outcomes. Depending on the type of training you are using, you may want to track learning outcomes. This can be a good way to determine whether your employees are retaining the information being taught in these programs. You can track learning outcomes by asking each employee to complete a quiz at the end of their program. You may also want to consider monitoring how much time it takes for your employees to complete their program. While this doesn't necessarily indicate whether or not your employees are retaining the information, it can give you a good idea of their progress. This is especially useful if you are offering long-term training programs. SaaS Metrics Tip 7. Gain valuable employee feedback. Another great way to track employee training programs is to request feedback from your employees. You can do this at the end of each program or quiz. Depending on the type of training program you are using, you may be able to incorporate a survey that allows your employees to provide feedback. This can be a great way to gain valuable insight into the effectiveness of your programs and make improvements when necessary. Summary: employee training is crucial to business success. It also happens to be something that can be very challenging to track and measure effectively. SaaS Metrics can help you better track your training programs and make them as effective as possible. When it comes to metrics, it's important to choose the right ones. You will want to track SaaS metrics that can help you determine whether or not your training programs are effective. They should also be easily trackable. Some examples of metrics you should track include completion rates, completion times, and survey feedback. We offer 24/7 live support. Our web-based training labs are often equipped with live customer service representatives that can help out with any issues. You can expect to have 24/7 support with a lab platform like ReadyTech, with availability on all major holidays. And if you have a high-volume business with a large number of learners, you might want to look into managed services. A managed service provider, MSP, can help manage your entire learning lab, including implementation, ongoing maintenance, repair, and troubleshooting. ReadyTech is here. We hope this blog helped elucidate what SaaS metrics are and how they can help your bottom line. Web-based training is the new frontier of teaching and learning, as the need to keep up with growing remote learning industry is stronger than ever. If you are still interested in what SaaS is, ReadyTech provides you with everything you need, and we offer a full-service lab setup process and 24/7 live support. Contact us today.